What's going on, Mountaineer fans? Welcome to the Breakdown, where we take a look at App's upcoming opponent each and every week of the season.
Here we go again. Yeah. Hey, Tech, watch this.
It's time to go bowling. Saturday will be the first bowl game App has played in the state of Florida. Kickoff is set for 11 a.m. Eastern Time on the main network ESPN. Western Kentucky comes into this matchup with an 8-5 overall record. They did have a 4-game losing streak at the beginning part of the season, and they hadn't lost again until their conference championship game, kind of like App did, where they had a rematch. Theirs was UTSA for a second time, and obviously we had Louisiana a second time. We did share one common opponent. We both played Marshall this year, as Marshall was, obviously in Conference USA and will become a member of the Sun Belt again soon. But App took that one at home, 31-30, while Western Kentucky won their matchup 53-21 up at Marshall. Do note that the Marshall quarterback, the starting quarterback, was knocked out a little bit earlier in that game, so there was a little bit difference as he played the entirety of the game at App against us earlier. So just keep that in mind. But this is definitely going to be an air attack offense versus a ground and pound offense. App does mix it up a little bit, but obviously we lean a little bit heavier on the run. So we'll see how that fares. But this offense is impressive. I mean, they can pretty much score from anywhere. I was a little blown away when I started watching a lot of the video about just how good they are and how often they can score. So let's take a little bit closer look at what to keep an eye on in this matchup.
Bailey Zappi is the quarterback for the Hilltoppers. He's actually got a chance to beat Joe Burrow's touchdown passing record this Saturday. He's currently got 56 touchdowns on the year. He needs only 5 to surpass Burrow. He's also got 2,500 more yards passing than Chase does this year. So you can just see some of this stuff and see why he's got so many yards. This guy's a surefire NFL player. He can make pretty much every pass, and he's got a great downfield vision as well as an arm to get it there. As you can see as we watch along here, I mean, he doesn't really struggle with any throw. He's got the one here where it's a quick out to the wide receiver. You'll see that play and a variation of that play throughout the evening, or I guess early morning this time around. But his vision downfield is great. His placement of the ball is right to the receiver, right between defenders where only his guy can get it. He just doesn't seem to struggle very much at the quarterback position, which is impressive because he's actually a transfer that came over with him, his top wide receiver, Stearns, who we see here, number 8, catching a pass in the back of the end zone. They both came over with their offensive coordinator from Houston Baptist to transfer into Western Kentucky this year, and they have not slowed down, even jumping up a level in play. Again, some of these guys are almost 4 or 5 guys covering him, and he still gets it. Now, he's not a mobile quarterback. He can be mobile, but as you can see, he's still going to keep his eyes downfield and look to pass. He doesn't really want to run. He passes up running chances quite often, but if he has a huge lane, he will take advantage of it, and we can see that in these next 2 plays when he's got wide open space. He knows he is still smart enough to get there, and he's got the legs to do it, but he is not going to attempt to run much at all, especially with what we know from App's defense. And then we'll touch on the wider running backs a little bit, even though they aren't heavily used. Noah Whittington and Adam Cofield will both see some reps. Of Whittington's the first one we'll see here. He's number 20 that we see here. And then Cofield is probably the smaller of the 2 backs. He's actually number 7. He transferred in from North Dakota State and is a 3-time national champion, which obviously App State knows all about that, but this guy's got a good pedigree. And even though he has less yardage than Whittington on the season, he seems to be getting hotter at the right time and seems to be the go-to back as the season progressed. But like I said, we're not going to see these guys a lot. I would be surprised to see them a lot. But they do try and use them to open up that passing game a little bit, open up some lanes, because teams do not stack the box against these guys. And then they've got 4 very, very dangerous wide receivers, and Jarrett Stearns, Mitchell Tinsley, Dawood Davis, and Malachi Corley. And let's just throw out a little comparison here as we see Corley make a great sideline catch, number 11 there. As a group, those 4 wide receivers have 1,285 more yards than the entirety of the App State offense when it comes to receiving. That's every little pass to everyone who's caught a reception this year. They have over 1,200 more yards than that whole list of 13 or 14 guys that have caught a pass. Just the 4 of those guys have that much yardage, which is just crazy. And we're still seeing some from Corley here, number 11 again. Again, Zappe keeps his eyes downfield. Somehow he doesn't go down. We'll see another replay on this one. Gets hit, as the broadcaster was saying, he literally planks off of the defender back on his feet. It was called, to the referee's credit, it was called a touchdown live as well. They did review it to make sure, but they did call it a touchdown live. So they got that one right from the very start. And then we'll see some deep balls here to Davis, Dawood Davis, number 18. He's got the longer hair, so he's a little bit easier to find than some of the other guys. Good set. I mean, every single one of their wide receivers seems to have a great set of hands. I think we've got at least one play from each of them here that shows off their pass catching ability really well. But we'll also see Zappe's, essentially see a bunch of Zappe highlights in this as well. The Stutter set, they're good route runners. They excel at that. They have some great routes that they run. And this offensive coordinator, I don't think he's going to be, somebody people haven't heard of for very long. I really think he's going to get a lot of notoriety as he continues to move up in the coaching ranks. And Zappe's got a great touch on the ball. I mean, he could deliver a rocket downfield, or he can put some touch on it, put it in the air only where his guy can get it to the back shoulder, as we see some of these tosses towards the end zone. This is the one play coming up where they beat Marshall pretty well. And a lot of it had to do with how well Zappe was putting it to his wide receivers and how they seemed to find a whole lot of open space somehow. And on this one, we'll see Tinsley, just a broken down coverage by Army here, but he's just, you can tell he's just yelling for the ball, trying to get it before that guy gets back over, and Zappe delivers a strike right to him for the touchdown. Again, just a great set of hands to get there before the defender can. Zappe leads the receiver enough without really putting him in too much of a dangerous position, luckily. But the other thing is every single one of their wide receivers seems to have plenty of speed too. So you give them open space and you're going to be in trouble. So these guys are going to make catches, as we talked about earlier, but you've really just got to minimize the yards after the catch if you can. Get really physical with them up at the line of scrimmage if you can, and prevent them from getting away from you easily, because if you let them get away, that's where they're going to make you pay. You see Tinsley with a heck of a grab here with the guy draped all over his back. And we see a little pump fake from Zappe. He does really well to use that as one of his better tools to get the defender to come off the route a little early, open up his wide receiver to be at least one, if not two steps ahead of the defender at that point because he fell for the fake. Again, a lot of quarterbacks in the college game struggle with the deep ball and placing it accurately besides the upper echelon quarterbacks. This kid is one of the upper echelon quarterbacks. as we could see with Tinsley, over the shoulder, one-handed catch, very Thomas Hennigan-esque, very impressive set of hands on Tinsley. I mean, these guys just rarely ever drop balls. I mean, everything that I saw throughout all the games I watched, very, very few drop balls. Again, a lot of that goes to Zappy throwing a good quality football to them, but also these guys just have great hands. And then we'll see a lot of package highlights from Jared Stearns. There's a set of brothers, the Stearns brothers, but Jareth is really the most dangerous of the two. I didn't actually see all that much from his brother. Stearns here is Jareth is number 8, and his brother is number 9, which is also a little confusing. But this is all Jareth on these highlights here. Again, I mean, he's throwing this one into about triple, almost quadruple coverage, and still completes the pass. It's just incredible stuff out of these two guys. You can see why they stayed together in the transfer portal to come to the same school, because the chemistry is just there and the talent is very certainly there. We'll even see some, I don't know if I'd call them trick plays, but some gadget plays maybe, where he's taken a few end arounds. That was probably one of the more successful ones. And then here they're just going to throw a little short screen that goes for a touchdown again. That's one of the variations of that play we saw earlier. And then this is what I was talking about at the highlight, the beginning of the package here, was that they can score from anywhere. And even when it looks like they may be in a little bit of trouble, the quality of throws Zappy delivers and the quality of hands that these guys have, yeah, it's just, may look like it should go the other way, and somehow they're still scoring touchdowns. Again, Stearns looks to be down on this play, but in the replay we can see that he actually was on top of the defender. Again, a few years ago against Georgia State, like Corey Sutton, kind of roll up off of him and get up and get himself into the end zone. So cannot quit early on these guys, no matter what, because you play until that whistle blows, because these guys will just take advantage of that. Again, Zappy with the pump really got all those defenders look off and gave Stearns that extra space he needed to make the play. And besides those guys that we've seen, Dalvin Smith, he's definitely not targeted as often. He's only had 9 receptions on the year, but he makes teams pay. Of the 9 receptions he's made, he has 5 of them going for touchdowns. So you're not going to see him a lot. But he's one of those guys with a lot of long hair, number 17. Really impressive set of hands again. Another wide receiver with a great set of hands. This route is incredible. I've never seen this type of route before, honestly. It's such a tight turn right around the O-line and the D-line, and then to come out after that and grab it was really, really great play. Defensively, Antoine Kincaid leads the team with 90 total tackles. He's also got an interception on the year and multiple pass breakups. Number 1 here, is going to drop down and make a few tackles into the backfield. He just reads plays really well and can get to the ball pretty easily with the speed that he possesses. And then we'll see his 1 interception on the year here. Pass breakup as well. Again, just got a pretty good read to be in the defensive backfield and come up and make these reads and these tackles. Then we've got defensive end D'Angelo Malone. He leads the team with 8 sacks this year. He is number 10 on defensive end, lining up on the outside there, coming in to make that tackle. He will typically be towards the bottom of your screen in all these plays. Getting off the block, take down the Indiana quarterback here in this play. Even being held really a little bit there, still getting the play made. Again, just continues to get into the backfield and disrupt plays, getting off blocks, throwing guys down to the ground. A little bit of a delayed blitz that look there. This one was really nice against Marshall. He actually gets pushed out wide a little bit, but doesn't give up on the play, comes back, drills the quarterback. That may be the hit that knocked the quarterback out of the game, to be honest with you. I can't remember exactly, but it might have been that one. Linebacker Will Ignat is definitely a ball hawk on the linebacking core. You obviously try and be disruptive, get into the backfield. When he's not blocked, he's certainly able to make some plays. But he's got a couple sacks on the season as well, and probably is their most standout linebacker on the team. Number 23 with the pass breakup here against Michigan State. And then Cincinnati transfer Michael Pitts. Seems to be a great addition to the team. He's helped out with 3 sacks on the year, but he doesn't even see the field all that much. So he's made a good impression, even though he's not one of the starters. And then they've got these 2 guys circles. He's actually just to the right of those 2 guys, and he comes in and makes the play on the quarterback here. Follows that up with not giving up on the play, even though he's kind of initially blocked. He gets off that block off number 70, gets out of it, and makes the tackle over here on number 5 near the sideline. And again, their defensive line is probably the strongest point of their defense, which is weird because they keep up so much on the run. But if you're not careful, if you're not blocking properly, if you're lazy on a play, if you miss an assignment, they will certainly make you pay for that. Juwan Jones has added 4 sacks and 41 total tackles here on the season. He is number 43 here, makes a couple of plays. Well, I'm sorry, he's number 34, getting here, making a couple of plays. He'll be circled here in this play against Army. Strip sack there on the quarterback. Again, most of their really good plays defensively are really just poor assignments by the offense, and they're making them pay for it. So, you can avoid some of that stuff. You're going to be a lot better off, especially in a bowl game when it's one and done. It's not like you got to worry about playing for next week. So don't take a play off. Don't relax too much, because these guys can and will take advantage of that defensively. And then Amari Alexander and Beanie Bishop both have 3 interceptions on the year. We'll see a pass breakup here by Alexander to start it off, and we'll see some plays. I think just one play from Beanie Bishop, because I've got some other plays from Bishop we want to see as well. But again, just kind of like Kincaid earlier, you've really got Amari with the speed to get into the backfield and be disruptive if you allow him to do so. So he's coming off the edge again. Once again, these guys not blocked very well. That's when they're making their plays. So just keep that away from them as a possibility. You're going to be a whole lot better off on the offense. And then Bishop is also dangerous in the return game, as we can see here. I'd equate him to Virgil, a lot like Virgil. He's got the ability and the capability to make big plays, to possibly take one to the house, but I would say the vast majority of his returns were just average or below average. But there's a few that he did break out or almost broke out, and so kick coverage will certainly have to keep an eye on him as one to focus on. But I think for the most part, we're going to have better kick coverage than some of these teams that we're seeing here. So we should be able to kind of hold those guys in. And then, I talked earlier about why our run game could be successful, and we're going to see some clips here about why. No one to really focus on. Just watch how much the running back's getting. Even when it looks like they could be hemmed up, running backs with speed and vision are able to really hit the hole and get through this defense. And, there are some missed tackles on some of these, but honestly, a lot of they're not even getting to the guy until way downfield. So I really think Nate Noel and Peoples will have a pretty good game, and hopefully they have such a good game that we can get some other guys even in there, give them some spells and continue just running this ball. And if Peoples can perform anywhere up to the North Texas game from last season, then it'll be a heck of a show, heck of a fireworks display to watch these guys play Saturday morning.
We've seen how good Zappe is. We know they can score from pretty much anywhere. It'll be interesting to see against a defense as aggressive as App has been throughout most of the season. Up there in the top 5 in the country, I believe, in tackles for loss. I think we may even be higher than that. We might be in the top 1 or 2. And we know we are not going to have Corey Sutton for this one as he's out with an injury. But we're going to need those other wide receivers to step up. We obviously need the O-line to really establish and help protect that run game, and we need our running backs to be successful as well. Everything that we've seen on film shows me that we should have a successful rush attack, but we are going to have to use the passing game in order to help that out and continue to have success there. So we are still going to have to lean pretty heavily on the wide receivers and hope Chase Bryce has a good game. Neither kicker is really head and shoulders above the other, it seems. I don't think either one of them's missed an extra point all year, and neither one of them really missed anything real close, at least not a lot. It's not very often. Most of the misses are 40 plus, and some of the conditions that Western Kentucky played in this year were not favorable, heavy winds and rain. So the kicking game should be pretty solid for both teams. I don't expect to see a large advantage in the special teams really across the board. Both teams have some people who can be dangerous, but neither team has a person who's going to really break away very often, I don't think. I think these teams, coverage-wise, are solid enough where you're not going to see big chunks of return yards or very much on punts at all, to be honest with you. What we're going to have to do is hope that the defense can hold. I mean, these guys are going to move the ball. They're going to score points, but you have to hold them to as little of that as possible and hope that App's defense comes up on the bigger, better end of that scenario, and that App's offense is also performing up to the level that we've seen in the couple games previous. Obviously, in the Louisiana game in the championship was a little bit of a letdown as far as offense goes. I still think the defense performed pretty well overall because that team's pretty good, but I think the offense needs to come back to the consistency they showed against Troy, South Alabama, Arkansas State. If we can show that kind of offense in this game, I think we'll be okay. I don't think Western Kentucky's defense is one of the top that we've seen this year or anything like that. They have some players, especially on that defensive line, as we've seen, that can get stuff done, but I don't think they have anything that blows me away as far as having to avoid their secondary and when throwing the ball or not establishing the holes for the offense to be able to run through. So with all that being said, let's hope that App can take this one, continue to be undefeated in bowls, become 7-0. My final score prediction in this one is App 34, Hilltoppers 30. Go App.
Cali, baby, I guess I'm back at it again. Let me laugh at them again, cause I know I write the back I never pen.